name is Selema Mabena. They call me Sal for short, and my film is called Alekesam.
Now, it's a father and son story about your own life. Can you tell us briefly about it?
Yeah, my dad was a political exile from South Africa, and sort of an activist making music all over the world, but he couldn't make music at home. And I was born in the States, as a sort of child of exile, and grew up in a completely different direction than what my dad had come from. I'm a surfer, skateboarder, snowboarder. And so the film's really just about a little bit of my father's journey, and then my journey into finally deciding that it was time for me to do something I had been putting off, which was making music. So it started off from making this album, and somehow or another this beautiful film came out of it.
Now, were there years where you did not know, you didn't have contact with your dad? There were some times?
Yeah, there were years. My dad, like I said, he was exiled. He couldn't go home to South Africa, but he wanted to make music with African musicians. So he went to places like Botswana and Zimbabwe and West Africa for like 5 years. From about 10 to 15, I didn't really see him. We wrote letters and things like that. And, it's interesting when you're a kid. You want your dad, you want your parents. But as I got older, I was able to understand what it was that he was doing and what he was fighting for. And really, for him, it was always about the music being an instrument to help raise awareness about South Africa and eventually the end of apartheid.
Now, you have a foundation, right, that helps at-risk kids?
Yeah.
Is that right? Okay. And what do you see as a parallel? I grew up without a dad, too. So what do you see as sort of a parallel with a lot of these kids?
Well, the thing that I see with the kids with my organization, with Stoked, is that all they really want is opportunities, and a lot of times they're missing a parent in their life. That's the consistent thing. They're missing usually a father figure. And so these kids being able to have someone, a mentor like what we put with them, and they have the opportunity to learn how to skateboard, to snowboard, to surf, to do things from sort of outside of their box. It takes their whole scope on life and it changes it around, and they all of a sudden have opportunities, and they're in new environments, and they feel comfortable, and they have self-esteem. So yeah, that's a consistent thing.
And lastly, it's a very personal film. It's about your life. You're exposing it to the world.
Yeah.
What do you want people to take away from that?
What do I want people to take away from the film? I think, for me, your parents are the blueprint of who you are. And we all go through different times with our parents. I have friends who haven't talked to their parents in years, and I'm just lucky that I got mine. That I was able to get my dad and have him stay in my life. We went through some hardships, but he's my best friend. So, if anything, I hope that it makes kids think about their parents and parents think about their kids, because it's the one journey that we all have in common.